All right, welcome to part 2 of the Real Q&A. We're just going to jump right into it. If you didn't see part 1, it's going to be linked up here, but don't watch it yet. Or maybe watch it. It's up to you. But then come back to this video and watch this one too. All right, the next question. How do you determine what to send and what to list yourself? I think it's a great question. It's a lot of it is personal choice on brand and what I want to list, and what moves for me in my closet and what's worth my time to list myself. So this, of course, comes with experience. So for me, I heavily focus on selling handbags, shoes, jeans, sweaters, sometimes really in the fall and winter, and athletic wear. Those are the categories I really focus on. The things I send to the Real are typically really expensive brands that just don't hold their value on platforms like Poshmark or eBay, or they're slow movers, or they're just brands that don't excite me, or the piece doesn't excite me. That's really my logic behind it. If I really want to sell a piece myself, I'm going to sell it myself. Like I have a Chloe dress that I'm selling myself. It's probably going to sit forever and it's fine. I tried sending it to the Real and they priced it too low. I wasn't comfortable with it, so I just took it right back. There's a few things I haven't sent to them and I've sold myself, and that's fine. I also use the Real as like a liquidation for myself. So I'll go through all of my totes like 3 times a year and I clean house and I just dump everything in a box and say, okay, off you go. We're going to see what happens and kind of go from there. And then whatever doesn't sell, or I'm sorry, whatever they don't take at the Real, then we'll just send to Threadup. And that's like my liquidation process. I do use it that way as well. I also check out their website and see how certain brands sell. Sometimes there's like obscure shoe brands that I find that probably retailed for $500-600, but there's no market for it on eBay or Poshmark, but there is a market for it on the Real, and it's priced at that $8 and under price point, and they're selling on the Real for $150, $200 in that range. Probably gonna pick it up and just send it there. So a lot of it comes with experience, a lot of it comes with research, and then what you're comfortable with not listing yourself. I know a lot of people have a hard time with the Real's pricing structure. So some people say to me, well, why would I send them a pair of, I don't know, Sorel boots that they're only going to list at $80 and then I'm only going to make 40% on it when I could just sell it myself? Well, that's a valid point. You absolutely could sell it yourself. That's up to you. But if you only paid $5 and under and you know they're going to flip quick on the Real, and you don't have to do any work or store it, even if you make $40, $50, $30, you still made more than you would have if you put the time in to clean them, store them, photograph them, like everything, right? Because I don't think I shouldn't say that. Most people probably don't realize that all of that stuff matters when you sell an item. So yes, you may have doubled your money, but now you need to subtract everything else that's associated with owning a business. So that's just one of the reasons why I like to send things in there. And I don't really have like a game plan, you know what I mean? Like these brands have to go there. It really just depends on the piece. And that's kind of the beauty of having your own business. You dictate what it is that you want to send and why you want to send it. And plus it's fun to experiment. I always send them random things. Like I've sent them a few random leather jackets that are brands that don't mean anything to anyone, and they've priced them really high and they've sold. So, you know, I just say try it and you determine what to send in. And then share your experiences with people, because I think that's the most important part of it all, and how everyone learns is when we share our experiences and let others know what we tried and what worked and what didn't work, and what we decided was best for us to just sell ourselves. Next question. Do you send items not on their list? If so, do you send based on MSRP or style? Good question. I always send brands not on their list all the time. But I do research it first. So I will go on their website and I'll say, okay, have they sold brand X before, and what has it sold for? If they have sold it before and they have some presently on their website, and it's not just sold, there's actual items available of this brand, then I'm going to send it in. I've also sent in vintage pieces of, for example, Oscar de la Renta. They don't always accept Oscar. I don't know why, but they don't. But their vintage pieces, they typically do accept. Also, same thing with Dior. They don't accept all Dior. But if it's a vintage piece or a blazer, they're probably going to take it. Or a really nice dress. They'll probably take it. So you really can't go off of MSRP. I mean, I guess you could, depending on the brand. But I say your first rule of thumb is to check the website and search that brand or search that specific piece. See what's available and what it's priced at. See what's sold and what it's sold at, and kind of make your decision that way. If it's worth it to send in, you can also contact a rep and ask them if this is something that they would be interested in. They'll ask their warehouse management and their warehouse employees what they think, and if it's something that's worth listing, they'll ask the I forget what it's called, but it's like their branch of the RealReal where they do market analysis, and they'll look it up and see if it's something that their customers are looking for or asking for. So there's a lot that goes into it, but if I say you can do it either way, based off of style or based off of MSRP, I do it based off of brand and style, I guess. MSRP is never anything that I really consider because the MSRP doesn't always matter, just like when we're selling ourselves on Poshmark or eBay or any of these reselling platforms. MSRP is like, it just, sometimes it matters, but most of the time it doesn't. Next question, if you have sent items to Threadup, which do you prefer, the RealReal versus Threadup? So the Threadup to me is like my dumping ground. It's where I send all of like my pieces I'm either going to donate or pieces that I just haven't moved. I just don't want to sell them anymore. I've tried sending them to the RealReal and they just haven't worked. And I'm liquidating everything. It goes to Threadup. Like I said previously, I am going to try a couple of partner kits and see how that goes. So I'll definitely report back on that and see what's what. Like, so I actually, something that I'm going to do is split up my RealReal items and send some to the RealReal and send some to Threadup and kind of see the difference. And maybe certain brands are worth it to send more to Threadup than it is to the RealReal. I don't really have a good answer on that because I haven't really used Threadup to that capacity. I know others that have and have done well, but since they've changed their payout structure and everything, it seems like some people have strayed from using Threadup in that manner, but maybe started using their partner kits and getting gift cards that way. So I think it just depends on the person, but for me, it's always been the RealReal. It's always had my heart. Next question. Do you think they price fairly, or is it like Threadup where they misprice, misbrand items and you have to reach out? It's like a twofer, right? Do I think they price fairly? Not really. Well, on some pieces I think they do, and I think on other pieces I'm surprised what they price things at. Their pricing, and I had someone from the RealReal talk me through what their pricing structure is and how they decide, right? How they determine what item gets priced at what price point. And what the RealReal does is they take all of their analytics for a quarter or for a month, right? And they look at brands and they say, okay, these are our top 20 selling brands on our platform. They have consistently sold at this price point in 30 days time, whatever it is, right? And then they dictate and they tell their pricing team, okay, if you get a piece, this brand, this type of piece, you're pricing it at X dollars. And it's going to get discounted at 20% when it reaches X days. So we'll use frame jeans, for example, because this is one that anyone can really send in and find in a thrift store. They receive a pair of frame jeans. They're going to be priced at $50, but within a few days, they are going to, being listed, they're going to be marked down 20% to 40%, which is typically where they sell at. and then you're going to make $16 because you only get 40% commission on it. That's a given. That's always the case when it comes to that brand, no matter what, because that is what the real has determined that their market will pay for that item. So that's how they do it. However, there are exceptions to the rule. So if you have a rare luxury handbag from whatever brand, whatever luxury brand, insert X brand here, right? And they know that this piece can sell for $5,000 to $10,000. They're going to market at $10,000 and it's going to sit and not be discounted for probably 2 to 3 months, if not longer, until they decide to mark it down 20%. I have a coat that it's a rare brand. It's vintage. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's like very obscure. And I sent it to them. And they've had it, no word of a lie, for 6 months. And they just discounted it to 50% off. And it is still priced at $350 because they priced it so high. So it's very convoluted how they come up with it. Convoluted to us as sellers, not to them, because it's a structure, it's a system. They have it down to a science. Here's what this piece typically sells for. It usually sells when it reaches 40% off. We're not even going to let it get to 40% off. We're going to price it right at that price point. And then someone's going to come in and buy it right out. Or buy it when it gets to 20%. That's how they do it. Do I think that they misprice and misbrand items? I've only had that happen once to me on the Real. They do a really good job, in my opinion, with that kind of stuff. They research brands, they research all that stuff. They make sure that the item is correct. You have time to reach out to someone if something is not like the size is not correct, the brand is not written correctly, or whatever it is. You have time to reach out to someone from when they process your item to when they draft it, because you can see that whole process. You can see from the initial point of when it's delivered all the way to when it's listed. So you have time in between there. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes 4 to 5, but generally 2 to 3 weeks, your item's going to get listed. Where you can question things, you can ask questions, you can ask them to change things, you can ask them to reevaluate your piece, and you can state your case as to why you think your piece is worth whatever dollar amount it is you think that it's worth. Show them the proof. Some people have been successful and they've been able to have them change their price, but like I stated before, they're pretty strict on their pricing structures. So you can try, but I have never been successful with them pricing any differently than what I want. You can't control your price. You can try, but it is difficult for you to get it to where you want, which is why I have that Chloe dress. They just priced it way too low. I think they had it priced at like $125, and I was like, no way that's coming back to me. I don't want it to go for $125. It's such a beautiful, formal piece. I just can't do it. That might be a piece I could send to Threadup, but I'm just so afraid to send anything of value like that there. So I'll probably just hold on to it forever. Next question we have here is how to manage returns. It's been a month and the tracking is still pending. You need to reach out to the 1-800 number ASAP and ask them what the status is. I will say that yes, they are short-staffed in their warehouse, and things do take a little bit longer to get back, but my returns are not taking that long. So it could be lost somewhere in the warehouse and they need to find it and send it out to you. So I would definitely reach out to the 1-800 number if you're not getting anywhere. Consignor Relations, that's who you need to reach out to. And they should be able to locate it. They can actually see it on camera where everything is, and they should be able to fix that for you. How you send in items and not on the brand list and get them accepted. You just send them in. That's really all it is. There is no special recipe to get them to accept your items that you send in. You have to have the right person looking at your box, going through it, and accepting your items or declining your items. So there's no secret. You just put it in a box and see what happens. I wish there was like a secret that I could give you, but there isn't. I just put it in a box and they either take it or they don't. And then I send it again and again until either they accept it or I give up and I send it somewhere else. Next question is, I heard they don't take shoes without protectors on the bottom. Like, when you say protectors, do you mean like, what do you call that? What do you call that? I don't know the name. Where they like, when you go to the cobbler and they put the thing on the bottom. I don't have words today. No, they accept all shoes. They don't have to have protectors on the bottom that I know of. I've sent them shoes that are completely destroyed on the bottom and they take them. So I'm going to say that's false in my experience. Next question is what to do if your rep doesn't respond. I've had 3 different people in just a couple of months. There is a big turnover. I've never experienced this. I've only had 2 reps and 1 rep left. I had her for the first year, and then when COVID happened, I don't know if she switched positions, whatever it was, and now I've had the same rep since March of last year, and she's very responsive. My advice to you would be to just reach out again to Consignor Relations and say, listen, I am a customer of yours and I'm a consignor and I'm extremely unhappy with my rep and they don't get back to me. I've had different reps, 3 different reps in a couple months, and I really would like to get this resolved. I really want someone to be able to reach out to at any time when I have questions. I think that's the best way to do it, is just to reach out to them directly, to the Consignor Relations directly, and escalate it in that way. And hopefully you get someone better. I'm really sorry. I hate when people say that. This is like the 3rd person who's told me that their rep isn't great, and I'm like, I wish I could just give you mine, because she's really awesome, but I don't think she's accepting anyone new. Next question is, can we find out why something was returned? Yeah, absolutely. It will tell you when you log into your account and you look at all the items that they've processed, or all of your items in general. It will tell you why they aren't taking it. Discoloration, hole, rip, whatever. Sometimes I don't know what they're talking about because there's no hole, there's no rip, it's 100% fine. I just send it back in. But if you have, let's say there's a piece and you, I don't know, whatever reason, you didn't see what the reason was that they return that piece to you, you can reach out to Consignor Relations or your rep and ask them, hey, I'm just curious, why didn't you take this? Because I see 18 others on your site at, that were accepted at this price point in the same condition, worse, better, whatever, and have that conversation with them. It could have been an oversight. I mean, it's all biased. All of these, any consignment service is biased. It's based off of the person that's going through your item. So there's no right or wrong. It's just what that person feels is best for the company. But yeah, you are able to see why a piece was brought back to you. How long does it take to receive your recalled items back? I would say for me personally, now I'm in Rhode Island, so, and all my stuff goes from New Jersey, I usually get my pieces back. So from when they create the shipment of all my returns, 24 hours. 24 to 48 hours. 48 hours is really the most. Usually I get the email like your items have shipped, and then I have them the next day. So it's also based off of, I guess, where you live. But I would say anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks is probably average to receive those. If it's longer than that, the only time I can say it's longer than that is if you're recalling items that have been sitting there for a long time, like this next shipment that I'm supposed to be getting. Probably going to take a little bit longer because they still haven't packaged it up, because they have to go find your items, which are probably stored in a completely different location because you sent them in 6 months ago. They're constantly getting items, whether it's from in-home consignment services that they're getting, people sending boxes in, people going to the stores, that they're constantly getting stuff. So if you sent things 6 to 8 months ago, it's in a completely different location. So they got to send a team out to find the piece, gather all your pieces together that might be in all different locations, right? And then create your box and send it out. So I think it's fair to say 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even 3, depending on where you live. But yeah, I think that's usually how long it takes for some people. But if it's taking longer than that, you absolutely need to reach out because those are your pieces and you need to get them back. Moving on. Next question is, which item designer do you find sell quickly for decent money? I've talked about this on various YouTube videos that I have here. I think Norma Kamali sells really quickly on the Real. I think Donna Karen, just the Donna Karen label. I've talked about it before. It is a black label. It is, I want to say some pieces are made in Italy, but it has a European sizing on it as well. Those pieces sell really fast to me. Things like Corinne Elliott frame, Sorel, Patagonia. They're not really fast movers, but they do sell. My men's pieces sell really fast. It really doesn't matter on the brand, but men's does sell really quickly. Handbags sell really quickly, like within 24 hours sometimes. Again, I guess it could be dictated by brand, but any brand I've sent in, usually within 30 days it's sold, which is great in my book. Trying to think. What's something that sold really fast consistently? For me, really, it's been the Norma Kamali. Like, and I know it's a brand that some people bypass, but that just sells so quickly for me on there. And I mean, Tory Burch kind of sells quick, depends on the piece. Anything that is unique will sell quickly. So I've had like a unique Oscar de la Renta vintage nautical style sweater that I sold. That sold within 24 hours, and it sold for, you know, over, what did it sell for? $260, and it was discounted, I think. It's either $260 or $200. It was one of those. It was priced at $260 and it sold at $200, whatever it was. So that is something that will sell fast, very unique vintage finds. I also had so any of my coats that I've sent in, whether it be blazers or actual full-length cashmere wool coats, those have sold all within a week at most. All my Christian Dior blazers sell very quickly. My Armani blazers sell quickly. Armani trouser pants, not so much, but the blazers, that's a definite. My Max Mara coats that I send in have also within 24 hours time, and they all get priced really high. So I'm really looking forward to coats being back in the thrift store, like trench coats and stuff, because I have such good luck. The fall and winter months is probably where I make the most on the Real because of all the coats and blazers that I find and I can send in. I like specifically hunt for them. But yeah, I would say it's not always necessarily based off the designer. A lot of times it's like the actual piece itself. So if it's a unique vintage piece or cashmere piece or a linen piece, that can also dictate it. And I also don't send in the same stuff all the time. So like, it's hard for me to say that certain brands sell faster than others because I send in like a hodgepodge of all different brands at all times. I never find the same things, I guess is what I should say. And because I don't only stick to certain brands to send in, I kind of just send whatever. I don't really have like a great strategy to say that this brand will sell no matter what in 2 days. Like, and I can't say that anyway because it's different for everyone. All right, the last question. Any tips for getting them to increase listing prices? I've had mixed results when I've asked. I've had mixed results too. There's really, like I said, and I went in detail in this before your question, they have their own math. They dictate it in their own way. So it's really hard to get them to increase unless you can really like state your case. I mean, you have to show research and proof, and they make it hard. They really do. There are times you get lucky and they'll increase it by a little bit, but they're pretty firm on their pricing. So if you find a trick, you let me know because I haven't been successful at all. Well, hopefully this was helpful to all you guys. Thank you so much for your questions. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I broke it up into 2 videos because, yeah, it's a lot of content all at once, and I want people to be able to digest what's being said. And maybe we'll do these again. Who knows? You guys have a lot of questions when it comes to the Real, and it's just easier for me to sit down and have the conversation with you guys. But if you have any other questions or you're thinking of anything while I'm rambling here, leave them down below and I will answer them for you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.